Yes, Swamiji.
Coming to the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita is addressing the basic human problem. Says, and move on. Okay. Are you able to hear me?
Able to hear Swamiji?
Yes, now okay.
No.
No.
Now it is
Yes.
fine, but it was very delayed before.
Okay,
The
now are you
transmission
able
was
to
slow.
hear?
Yes, now it's
Yeah,
better.
now it is okay.
Okay, so now it should not have any problem.
The Bhagavad Gita is addressing the basic human problem of Oham is aviveka, taking one thing to be different from what it is. And basically, we take ourselves to be quite opposite to what we are, whereas the self is limitless. We take ourselves to be limited beings, whereas my essential nature is wholeness, fullness, happiness. I take myself to be an unhappy creature, a helpless, helpless being. This is what I take myself to be. And if this assumption about me did not create any difficulty in our life, doesn't matter what I think of myself. But what I think of myself fundamentally decides how I feel about myself. And I feel that I am a limited being and I am not happy finding myself to be a limited being. If I was really a limited being and I looked upon myself as a limited being, no question, no problem. But I happen to be limitless. Swamiji, how do you say that we are limitless? Because that's one thing that we are seeking in our life. We're happy. I do not want to be sad or sorrowful. I want to be free. I don't want to be dependent. I don't want to feel helpless. Be free. I want to be in charge. This is basically what I want from myself, that's all. And I find myself to be quite contrary to what I want myself to be. Whereas I want to be happy, I find myself an unhappy being. Whereas I want myself to be free, I might find myself dependent, limited, wanting. In short, I find myself to be quite contrary to what I want to be. And that is why basically I am not happy with myself. Human being is a miserable creature. Nobody can be happy with the self when we find ourselves limited, dependent, helpless. Helpless, I cannot do what I want. I cannot avoid what I do not want. So this way, unhappiness or sadness is the basic experience that a human being has about one's own self. And Vedanta. And therefore Bhagavad Gita addresses this basic human problem. All Upanishads also do the same thing. But we do not find in most places a clear statement about what the fundamental problem is. In Upanishad, a jignasa or a seeker goes to the teacher, please teach me that one thing which is knowing which everything becomes known. Kasmin bhago vijñāte sarvamidam vijñānam bhavati. Elsewhere it is said that teach me that by which I know everything that I do not know. Avijñātam vijñātam bhavati, amatam matam bhavati, ashrutam shrutam bhavati. So that way Upanishad addresses the same problem, but as pursued by a very intelligent person. Bhagavad Gita addresses the same problem, also the emotional level. You find that Upanishads are addressing basically intellectual problem that human being has. Bhagavad Gita also addresses the emotional problem that we have. Arjuna is an emotional being, that everybody is, but his emotions are very clearly expressed in terms of feeling dejected and never feeling sad. It is true that this is what Arjuna always felt, and what we normally do is, when we don't feel happy with ourselves, we engage ourselves in some activity. Do something to distract our mind so that we do not have to confront ourselves. Many of our activities are self-escape, escaping from myself, so that I can avoid confronting myself, which Arjuna also did. He was a very accomplished person, but he went from one place to the other, did one thing or the other, did tapasya, acquired, various weapons and whatever was the right thing to do with the Kshatriyas. And we do things our own way. When we examine, we'll find that basically we are trying to escape from ourselves. By engaging ourselves in one activity or the other, so that we do not have to confront ourselves. And the modern gadgets provide us a lot of scope of keeping our mind engaged in one thing or the other, so that we do not have to confront ourselves. Arjuna, however, found himself in a situation where he could not escape. He proposed to Lord Krishna. He first of all thought that by escaping from a given situation, he will escape from himself. And so he proposed to Lord Krishna. Now you would say, I do not want to fight this battle. Let us get away from here, from confronting the situation. It is not only confronting the situation, it is confronting myself, who is faced with the situation. And every situation brings out from me a certain self. In most cases, it is a self with which I am not happy. Arjuna, however, and also Arjuna tried to escape. He said to Lord Krishna, I don't want to fight, and meaning that let us go away, and let me go to forest, let me meditate. But Lord Krishna did not oblige. And therefore Arjuna had no choice other than to confront himself. And that grief that is present in every human being became very evident in case of Arjuna. Not that Arjuna was grieving only at this moment, but so far he was able to escape that grieving self. He wanted to escape this situation also, and Lord Krishna did not oblige him. Then Arjuna discovered that what grief is lying in the depth of himself, the shoka. And Vedanta explained that the shoka, the grief out of oneself, is because of looking at oneself quite contrary to what the self is, meaning that looking upon myself as a limited being whereas I happen to be limitless. Had I been a limited being and I took myself to a limited being, there would be no problem. Problem is that I happen to be free from limitation. I look upon myself as a limited, wanting being, seeking favor of the world. Every desire is nothing but a manifestation of this seeking. And so that's how Bhagavad Gita started. It addresses the fundamental problem of a human being, of shoka and moha, grief and delusion. What is moha? What is delusion? Vedanta gives the stock example of a rope and snake. Taking what is snake, taking to be rope, or what is rope is taken to be snake. Here, what is limitless is taken to be limited. But his whole and complete being is taken to be lacking, wanting being. And that is the fundamental human problem, what we call the basic problem, fundamental problem. And this is what is at the root of all our topical problems or situational problems. And basically, I have a problem with myself. I find that I have a problem with everything else. Problem with the spouse, problem with the boss, problem with the friends, problem with society, this and what. But all these problems are the expressions of a struggling self who has problem with his own self. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita identifies this human problem as ignorance. Why ignorance? Ignorance creates the notion of contrary things to what I am, meaning that ignorance creates a contrary perception of myself, and the limitless self is perceived as a limited being. Why? Vedanta says ignorance. There is no answer to the question why. Why is so, Swamiji? When I am limitless, why do I look upon myself as a limited being? I don't know. Well, then Vedanta explains. You take this body to be yourself, mind to be yourself. And these are small, insignificant things, and therefore I always feel I am an insignificant entity. That is, moha means aviveka, lack of discrimination between self and non-self. So that is the problem that the Bhagavad Gita and then every Upanishad Vedanta addresses this fundamental problem. And the method may be different. Every Upanishad approaches this in its own way. But perhaps Bhagavad Gita gives us a complete understanding of this problem. And the solution, because it's an elaborate text compared to Upanishads. Prachi tells me, Swamiji, tell us about Adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. Looking upon rope as a snake. So also looking upon the self that is limitless, looking upon that as a limited being. So Adhyasa means having a contrary conclusion about something. Whereas Atma or the self is free. I'm free, limitless. That's why I love freedom. I love happiness. Even I love sleep because that is where I experience happiness. And so I don't have any resistance towards happiness because I love, because that's my nature. I love freedom. So there are indications in our experiences as to what I really am. What do I really want to be? How do I really want to see myself to be? To be happy, to be free. A simple requirement. So happiness, freedom is my nature. And why do I take myself to be contrary? That's called adhyasa, superimposition. this body, mind. So this is how I am, a union of two entities, what you call Purusha and Prakriti, self and non-self, consciousness and the inert. So this body, sense organs, mind, intellect, they're all given to me to conduct myself in my life, to live my life. They're all the instruments given to me. Body is a dwelling place, sense organs are the tools with which I experience the world. Mind is that with which I feel emotions. Intellect is that with which I understand things. And so this infrastructure or equipment is provided to me to live my life intelligently. But then we take the body to be ourselves, not as a dwelling place. I take to the mind to be myself, not as an instrument of thinking. I take intellect to be myself, not as an instrument of knowing. It's like a carpenter taking the tools to be himself, you know, and all the tools. The carpenter in the morning opens his box, takes out the various tools, and performs various functions. So in the morning we open our box, the sense organs of action, organs of perception, mind, all that box is open. In those tools I perform my vyavahara or day-to-day living. Whereas the carpenter is very clear that he's not the tools. I take the tools to be myself. And that is where this is called adhyasa or superimposition. I won't give very technical definition, but we understand, we can see how adhyasa pervades our life, our thinking, our conclusions about ourselves. And therefore our conclusions about the world also, which are based on our conclusions about ourselves. So this is the basic problem that Vedanta or Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita address. Or Pujya Swami used to say, Vedanta addresses the problem of realities. So Vedanta addresses fundamental problem. And therefore, whenever we feel unhappy, whenever we feel sad, sorrowful, that is when we can ask ourselves, who is sad? Oh, the father is sad, the mother is sad, the husband is sad, the wife is sad, son is sad, daughter is sad, the guru is sad, the shishya is sad. The moment you assume any role and look upon role as yourself, sadness is going to come. And it is our habit to identify with the role that we play. Therefore, sadness is a natural outcome of identification with the role. Therefore, who am I? This is what Vedanta addresses. What I take myself to be and what I really am. Therefore, all of these things will become very important or useful whenever you feel sad. you feel disappointed, you feel unhappy. Who is unhappy? It will turn out that a person playing the role, that's what we are required to do, is to play roles from the time that we wake up till the time that we go to sleep. We play various roles. Every situation brings out from me a self that is appropriate to that role, whether it's father, mother, son, daughter, etc., etc. And as long as I remember this is playing roles, so long it's fine. But it doesn't remain role, I become that. I become a father, I become a mother, I become etc. And Pujya Swamiji saw. So, father means problem, mother means problem, husband means problem, wife means problem. You jokingly say, father, at a moment, he thinks his father, he thinks of his son. His 18-year-old son, tall and strong, with a big motorbike, does not button his shirt, open chest. He's wearing the mala given by his mother. He's removed the silencer from his motorbike, and thus he drives it on the road. And the father thinks of the son and becomes miserable. So, any role we identify with, it is identification of the role that is the problem we have. Call it adhyasa, call it identification. So father has problem, mother has problem, guru has problem, shishya has problem. And let us recognize that the problem is the result of identifying myself with the role. Otherwise, role can be anything. A good actor can cry during the role, he can laugh, he can beg, he can be a beggar, he can be anything. As long as he remembers the role, so long he enjoys it. Our Swami would say that, as a beggar is shedding tears and inside he is congratulating himself, how effectively I am shedding tears. And thus, it is the fundamental identity of myself which is what I have to be aware of. Or at least whenever any problem comes, that I go back to that fundamental identity. Who am I? And realize and recognize that a situation becomes a problem when I identify myself with a role. So this is what Vedanta addresses by teaching us what our true identity is. That you are a whole and complete being, you're free, your happiness. Hard to believe, of course. That is why we need a moment of leisure when we are not burdened with any situations. I have the freedom to really look at myself. When I can separate the self from the non-self, then I realize what the Upanishad of Bhagavad Gita says makes sense to me. So therefore, setting aside a time when I can be with myself for a few minutes, where I can create a distance with my problems and situations, etc., and roles, and think of the person who is playing the role. Prananya prana bhavati vadan vak pasyan chakshuhu shrunvan shrotram shrunvan shrotram. Upanishad says that the Atma or Paramatma entered this body, identified with the body. Now while he's breathing, he says, I am alive. His speaking, he says, I'm a speaker. So when speaking takes place, he says, I'm a speaker. When breathing takes place, he says, I'm alive. Seeing takes place, he says, I'm a seer. Hearing takes place, he says, I'm a hearer. Remember, understand, I say, hearing takes place. This person says, I'm a hearer. Seeing takes place, he says, I'm a seer. And so identifying with the various functions, these are all functions. And even a seer, hearer, thinker are all functional. There are no functional roles. That's what Upanishad also explains. Karma, nama, these are all the designations I gain because of functions that I call. They're functional names. Speaker right now I am is a functional, name of myself. I'm a speaker. When the function of speaking is taking place, you are listeners when the function of listening takes place. The functional names are all right, but when they become the real names, that is when the problems arise. This is so much ingrained in our habit that we don't even know that this is happening. And Vedanta draws our attention to this fundamental situation. Gyasa, identification. So any questions now?
How will further Bhasya study help the group become better person?
How does this, Prachi is asking, how does study of Bhashya or study of Vedanta, how does it help to make us better persons? Vedanta tries to always bring to our attention our true identity or the true nature. Vedanta is based on viveka or discrimination or separation of the self from the non-self, the real from the unreal. These are all lumped together in our life. Self and non-self are lumped together. The real, unreal are all lumped together. The lumping is what creates problem for us. To separate. They are separate, so stop lumping them. See them for what they are. See the self as what it is. See reality for what it is. That is how study of Vedanta basically is an intellectual pursuit. But understand that ultimately we have to live our life. And study of Vedanta should not just become an intellectual pursuit. Because then we start having a rasa. There's some pleasure of learning new things, pleasure of, which is quite all right. But as long as Vedanta also becomes an activity for deriving pleasure, intellectual pleasure in this case, so long, unfortunately, it does not touch ourselves. I learn Vedanta, learn new Prakriyas, and that's just nice. It's like learning any other thing, learning Sanskrit and learning, Nyaya, and enjoying that knowledge. It's called Rasaswad. Aswada, enjoying, rasa, with pleasure. So the study of Vedanta also becomes a activity for enjoying pleasure. Nothing wrong in it. It is a pleasure which is superior to other pleasures, but still it becomes an activity for enjoying pleasure. You should recognize that and all the time try to see how it means, what does it mean to me? What I'm studying in Kathopanishad or any other Upanishad, what does it mean to me? And how does this knowledge helps me live more effectively, more intelligently? And it progressively leads me to a life of freedom. Our life should become a process of pursuing freedom or happiness. And therefore, let us see this Vedanta also in this manner in our life. So, studying Vedanta also becomes important to us in this manner. When we see it as a means of helping us how to think, how to lead our life, how to think, how to feel, how to live our life, how to transform ourselves basically. So Vedantic teaching is meant for self-transformation. How I can become a better person. Not only more intelligent, but more intelligent, more my living becomes more intelligent living, informed living. Vedanta also teaches various values, how they come in my life. Words of Pujya Swamiji, how can I transform myself from a consumer to a contributor? So how I can every situation becomes an opportunity to contribute. Provided I'm alert and I have the insight of how to become a contributor in a given situation. Just one of the applications of Vedanta, of Bhagavad Gita. In short, Vedanta should become a guide, just to call it GPS, to lead our life. The Gita positioning system, or the Guru positioning system, or whatever you call it, a GPS to live our life. Therefore, it's a good idea to take out 15-20 minutes in the morning and review the activities of the day and important events of the day and what roles I am required to play. How will I play those roles so that playing every role becomes a means of self-growth and my contribution? How can I see every role as an opportunity to contribute and opportunity to grow?
Swamiji, you mentioned adhyas is the basic problem, fundamental problem in life. And Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads addresses this fundamental problem through various aspects. Having known this, having understood this, that adhyasa still continues. So, what else should we do? What kind of contemplation should we do?
Adhyasa, Prachi is asking, So in spite of understanding all of this, adhyasa continues in our life. That's because it's a habitual problem. But the impact that adhyasa has on our life, we can see and slowly try to become free from the impact. So adhyasa makes me a demanding person, a consumer, etc., etc. How can I slowly transform myself? So we can see the effect of adhyasa thus in our life as to how I have become, a free person has become a consumer, has become always seeking, favor of the world, etc. We can see these things in our life and try to become free from that by transforming ourselves. Basic value.
Gopalji had the question. Gopalji, please go ahead. You can ask Swamiji.
Dhruti?
Gopalji. Gopalji had a question. Maybe I doubt. Gopalji's question was how to keep the mind silent.
That is a basic struggle. That mind wants to think and it's nothing but a flow of thoughts. And we want to silence that. But I think first step would be to become comfortable with the thoughts. Rather than fighting with the thoughts, struggling with the thoughts, how to become comfortable with thoughts? Transform the thoughts. And that will happen when I transform myself. Simple words. When I transform myself from being consumer to a contributor, the thoughts will also get transformed. So therefore, the pursuit of silent mind, the first step is a mind with which I am comfortable. Not I'm trying to avoid the mind. I want a silent mind because I'm not comfortable with the mind. I'm trying to avoid the mind. First, become comfortable with the mind. Then let mind have thoughts with which I'm comfortable. I'll be comfortable with the mind which is a compassionate mind, a mind which is a giving mind, a forgiving mind. Therefore, these values are given to us. The more these values come in our life, more comfortable we become with ourselves and our mind. And then the mind will cooperate with us. And then if I say, mind, please become silent, it will help me. So first of all, you will transform the mind to being a cooperative mind. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanah. Our own self can become our friend, our own self can become our enemy. The first step is to transform the mind or the self to become a friend, a benefactor to us. And then we tell the mind, please become silent now, it will help us to become. But the way the mind is right now, we won't become silent. Transform it into a friendly mind, cooperating mind, which is willing to do what I want it to do. And then you can also ask the mind to be silent, then it will. So rather than forcing the mind in silence by pranayama, this, that you can try. but basically transforming the mind to become a friend. Atmaiva hyatmano bandhu, atma irupuratmanah. Bandhuratma atmanastasya yena atmaiva atmana jitah. Anatmasu satrutve vartayat atmana satruvat. Lord Krishna says in the 6th chapter of the Gita that first process is to make our mind free from raga and dvesha. Then we can start becoming a friend. Mind which has all these raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes, strong opinions. I don't like certain things, I hate certain other things, I love some other things. As long as these kind of strong views are there in the mind, it cannot be at peace with itself. It become more accepting, more accommodative, more charitable, more compassionate. So these values are given to us to slowly transform the mind to become a cooperative mind. So the process of pranayama, etc., is okay, but we want a lasting solution. And so Vedanta teaches how to make the mind a friend. You know?
From that point, Swamiji, we have to go to the ultimate truth that I am the self of all.
So that will happen. Let me become a happy person first. Self of all will happen. Let me transform myself from being what I am, not that I am not, but that be a happy person, comfortable with myself. Let me become comfortable with myself, then I will discover that I am the self of all. That intermediate step will be there. જેને નામ જોઉં છું બીજું કઈ નથી પણ જીણા છે ને
સુજાતાજી, લલિતભાઈ, હુંગોજી, રચિતાજી, ગોપાલજી, Kalai Salviji. So anybody has any questions?
Yes, Swamiji. May I ask?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I came across the word dhruti in our sannyasa chapter. So that definitely helps in improving the life. And how do we pursue that, and how do we go ahead to make it stronger, or how do we get benefit out of that in a
So what do you
practical life?
understand by dhruti?
My understanding is that dhruti keeps your particular idea prolonged for a long time to pursue. If I decide to basically achieve certain things, then that decision to achieve certain things can go long for a longer time, only with the help of my druda nature, or that is what my understanding. I may be wrong. So I would like to have more light on that. So if I want to become an engineer, then I need to pursue that for consistently for a longer period. And day and day, I need to pursue that. That persuasion strength, which is there within me, is probably dhuti. That is what my understanding. I may be wrong. Please, can you throw a light on that?
Technically, dhruti or dhairya is that
Hmm.
when our mind or our sense organs become tired and want to give up,
Okay.
then I encourage my mind
Okay.
to again continue the pursuit.
Oh.
Not giving up something because I face difficulties.
Yes.
So dhruti is continuing my pursuit in face of the difficulties or obstacles.
How do we get that strength? Or
When you get that strength when what you want to achieve is really important to you, valuable to you. Oh, this is what I want, and this is worth it. Then I have to sacrifice, I have to work hard, whatever I need to do, because what I want to reach is very valuable to me. And therefore, first of all, what the destination is dhruti comes into play when we are, trekking, going to Himalayas, want to go to Kedarnath, and then you can see that at a distance. And my legs are tired, and I said, come on now, I'm reaching, I have darshan of Kedarnath, etc. And I enthuse my mind and, put some enthusiasm, energy, and continue. So in life, this way, when the mind, there's some disappointments there, obstacles are there, at that time, making the mind again aware of what the importance, the value of what it is I want to achieve. And thus enthuse the mind to continue the efforts in the face of obstacles.
Is it a part of the Antakaran Chatushtya?
Is one of the vrittis of the mind. Hihi, vihi, so dhihi, dhrihi. All these are all different vrittis or the thoughts of the mind. So dhruti, dhahi also is one of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hari Om.
So anybody else has any question?
Can I ask some question, Rajaji?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Swamiji, we know that jnanam is the only way to achieve moksha. So further, we know that Shravanam and Nidityasanam is the thing to do. So we know that we listen to the classes and then we try to clarify our doubts. Then when it comes to Nidityasanam, we have the prarabdha bringing events into our life, and then that is happening because of our karma. And then whatever we study, we try to bring that into practice, facing the prarabdha. So not lot of times it's not easy because the way we get used to it in some way. So how do we implement that, or how do we bring the Atma Jnanam into our life, Swamiji?
Keeping the goal in mind. Atma Jnanam is a word. It means happiness. So that is my nature. Atma Jnanam is the knowledge of Atma, and Atma of the self is happiness by nature. Keeping that in mind, that even if I feel right now I'm not happy or whatever, that is not right conclusion about me. I become disappointed because I have a false perception about myself. So remind myself what truly I am. And therefore there's no reason why am I for disappointment, because if I have to achieve what I already have, all I need is to just remove those obstacles. So reminding myself of the objective, tracking the Himalayas, that that's where the Kedarnath is, and keeping that in mind, and look now, that is where it is, not far away, I can reach it, and it's a worthwhile goal. Basically, that Kedarnath is a worthwhile goal. If it is not a worthwhile goal, then I'll give it up. And so recognize that my goal is worthwhile. What I'm seeking in life is worthwhile. And that will give me a satisfaction with myself and with my life. So
Thank
value
you so much.
of what I'm seeking, value of what I'm doing.
Yeah, sometimes it's very difficult, to even to remember at that time, that viveka has to happen at that time. Sometimes we forget about it. Self-forgetfulness is the biggest is one of the biggest problem. So we don't remember when that event happens, we forget about everything what we study, then we react, and then we
we react. Then when the mind quiets down, you can go over the episode and recognize, what caused that reaction and what we have to learn from that. Let the mind learn that lesson, then proceed. So at least we can, even if disappointments are, whatever there are, events are there in our life, if you can make all even disappointments also and problems also as opportunity to learn, so that will be the benefit from that. Even if I fail, even if I disappoint, then also if there's something to learn, that's the game. Okay, what should I do next, or what should I not do next, etc. So let every, if as best as possible, these episodes or events, they can become my teachers, and I can learn from them. That's the basic attitude. I may not always be able to do that, but that is my basic attitude. Learning and growing, learning and growing.
thank you so much.
Perhaps I'm not directly addressing your problem because, you are telling me in a general way and I'm also replying in a general way. And life brings various situations which cause sometimes disappointments, etc., etc. But also, we should remember that every disappointment is because there was an appointment or an expectation. All that, there is a disappointment. Then let me understand what was my expectation, which was not fulfilled. Okay, that much I can learn. That see, this is what I expected, and it did not work. Ask, can I drop that expectation? What do I learn from that? So even every disappointing event episode also can become an opportunity to learn.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
I have a follow up on the disappointing stuff that Swamiji said. Doesn't that, I find that discourages me. And then to get that enthusiasm back in the face of fighting that constant battle with the mind, how does one find that inner strength?
But why do you fight with the mind anyway? There are enough things in life to fight with. Why do you fight with the mind, poor fellow? You want the mind to be in a certain way, and the mind is not cooperating with you. That is mind again, which is fighting with itself.
Because you can't let the mind have its way every time, because then you're not going towards the goal. So
Mind having its way, meaning that by mind we mean an expectation. And mind having its way means fulfilling the expectation. I become disappointed when my expectation is not fulfilled. I become happy when my expectation is fulfilled. So at least let me recognize what expectation there was and why was it not fulfilled. There was an expectation, an impractical expectation, unfair expectation, a worthy expectation, my expectations are there, no doubt about that. We can't say give up expectations. But at least let us learn what our expectations are there and then what is the reason why I felt disappointed or whatever I did feel. So let us learn even from a disappointing experience.
yes, Swamiji.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, all these discussions are at the level of intellect. And all the experiences are at the level of the emotion. And so, what the Swami is trying to do is to give you an intellectual solution for an emotional problem. Emotion, because there is a certain lack within there. And that is what causes, an expectation. And that by understanding of what the Swami is saying right now and whatever you study, etc., it all takes place in the intellect. But that connection is not there between, or often not there between intellect and the emotion. So at least let's understand. Emotion is a habitual problem. Because habitually we are doing the superimposition, habitually we are taking ourselves in a certain way, habitually we have expectations. They recognize that. It was habitual expectation because I took, because of my sense of lack or want within me, therefore it brings about expectation. They understand the mechanism of expectation. Even that also will, help us deal with it to some extent.
Swamiji, is what we call adhyasa just an emotional problem or mostly an emotional problem?
Adhyasa creates all the emotional problems. Adhyasa creates a sense of lack or want in me. And that is the cause of all my emotional problems. Ranchi's question was, is adhyasa, does it create emotional problems? Yeah, adhyasa is basis of, because a false, judgment about me, perception about me. And so it does cause basic problems.
My question is, Swamiji, because whatever we are doing, Swamiji, the most of the time we spend is to address the intellect, to change our understanding of things. And yet that emotional problem will still remain as is. So that's a big issue. Whether we do Bhasya or 3 years study or whatever, that core thing doesn't change. So that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, we would never feel that inner satisfaction that Vedanta claims, that you are Brahman.
So the inner satisfaction comes by trying to live a life in keeping with what we are learning. Satisfaction comes from ourselves. And if my conclusion is that I'm living a life which is worthy, then I'm satisfied. If I'm not able to implement my desires, my values in my life, so therefore, values are a first and important step. You have to align between the mind and the intellect, Intellectual value is an understanding, but putting it into practice is at the level of the emotion or the mind. And that is how they bring about a slow transformation.
Yes, Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you for your time. May I ask 10 more minutes? So I'm just going to stop the recording and I'm just going to go over what all we did in 1.5 years. So I'm going to stop the recording.